What do you think, Spook?
The gorilla is suffering from albinism, so he is covered with white hair. He is very intelligent, not only with a high IQ, but also with a high emotional intelligence. When his master teaches him reasoning, he listens with an open mind and looks very serious. But when the master wants to touch his fist, he raises his middle finger to the master. The story started 23 years ago. In 1993, a gene manipulation company, Energized, invented a breakthrough technology called CRISPR to genetically modify living things to treat incurable diseases. However, in 2016, CRISPR was banned by the U.S. intelligence due to its potential to be misused as a weapon of mass destruction. Meanwhile, Athena-1, a space station owned by Emergence, is on the verge of collapse after a laboratory rat mutates and nearly kills the entire crew. However, the long-surviving crew member is ordered by the Eugene CEO Claire Whedon to retrieve the pathogen canister before she can escape the situation. Therefore, the scientists go back in to take the samples while being chased by a rat monster. She manages to escape in the escape pod just before the station implodes. But the pod is damaged and disintegrates, killing her and leaving a trail of debris around the world. Elsewhere, primatologist Davis Okoye works at the San Diego Wildlife Sanctuary. One day, he accompanies his co-workers to a gorilla enclosure where he shows them the social interactions of gorillas. Apparently, Davis has befriended a rare albino western lowland gorilla named George that he saved from poachers who killed his mother. Both of them can also communicate using sign language. After that, one of his co-workers asks him why he is more attracted to animals than people, and he replies that animals are the most honest creatures and have a natural affinity with them. That night, the pathogen canisters start arriving all over the United States. One canister is swallowed by an American crocodile in the Everglades. Another lands in a Wyoming forest where a wolf is exposed to the pathogen. And the third lands in George's habitat where George is exposed to the pathogen as well. The next day, Davis is called into the sanctuary to check on George's condition. Then he finds George in the grizzly bear enclosure with a dead bear inside. Davis tries to calm George, who has a scratch mark on his chest when he wants to approach Davis. All of them are surprised to see George's size is bigger than before. Afterwards, they get over to the gorilla enclosure where they find a damaged canister. In Energen's office, Claire's dim-witted brother, Brian Viden, is furious over the destruction of their space station, and it brings heavy losses to their company. Claire then calms him down and claims that several of their canisters have actually landed on Earth as they were engineered to withstand re-entry. She also orders a private military group led by Burke to take care of the canisters. Later, genetic engineer Dr. Kate Caldwell sees Brett on the news giving a press release about the destroyed Emergence station. The other news also mentions that the debris has fallen in the San Diego Wildlife Sanctuary. Because of this, she looks very panicked and rushes to the preserve in the Wyoming forest. Burke and his men have arrived at the designated location. They find a damaged canister and report it to Claire. Burke also manages that they find a pack of dead wolves, and Claire immediately deduces that a wolf must have been infected by the pathogen, so she orders them to hunt the infected animal back to the preserve. George is imprisoned as they feel something wrong with him. Davis is also shocked after seeing George's abnormal lab results. As George grows considerably larger and becomes more aggressive, Kate finally sees Davis and explains that the pathogen was developed by energy to rewrite genes on a massive scale. When she claims that she is the only one who can cure him, George suddenly goes on a rampage and escapes from captivity, terrorizing all of the visitors. David is finally able to calm him down while the police start arriving there. However, a chopper appears out of nowhere and starts shooting darts at George until he passes out. On the other side, Burke's team advances further into the forest and finds a giant paw print in the dirt. Suddenly, the giant wolf, nicknamed Ralph, attacks them from behind while rushing through the forest. Claire is immediately pessimistic about the incident because she knows that the giant wolf cannot be defeated. And sure enough, Burke loses his men in an instant. When he tries to escape, Ralph leaps from the trees and destroys the chopper. As a result, Burke can do nothing but be eaten alive by the giant wolf. At night, Davis and Kate are detained by a government team led by Agent Harvey Russell, who wants to put George on an airplane. Harvey believes that they have everything under control, while Davis tells him that having George on the airplane is suicidal. After checking their records, Harvey reveals that Davis is a former Special Forces soldier and member of an anti-poaching unit. He then discloses that Kate was fired from Intervene for attempting to steal research from the labs, resulting in her serving a 13-month prison sentence. Therefore, Davis finds out that Kate was lying to him and that she cannot really hear George. The following day, Brad shows Claire a photo of Kate walking with the government team. It turns out that Claire has recognized Kate, and she believes that Kate wants to gather evidence of their illegal research to take revenge on Emergence for her brother's death. Hoping to capture Ralph and use George to cover up her plot, Claire uses a massive transmitter atop their building to lure the mutated animals. Unconcerned about the massive risk to civilian lives this possesses, Ralph and the mutated crocodile, nicknamed Lizzie, immediately make their way to Energene, which is located in Chicago. These mutated animals are engineered to respond aggressively to a low-frequency radio wave. Despite being sedated, Dorch reacts violently to the sound and begins to wreak havoc on the airplane. As the airplane starts to crash, David straps parachutes for himself, Kate and Harvey before they jump off the airplane. After landing to safety, they do not find George, indicating that he had survived the crash and is on his way to Chicago. Knowing that she lied to him, Davis tells Kate not to follow him anymore. Kate eventually reveals that her brother was terminally ill while she was working for Energene, so she had hoped to advance research on CRISPR as a potential cure for her brother's disease, until she discovered Energene's plans to use it as a biological weapon. Their conversation is then interrupted by Harvey, who manages to call for help. Soon, the group heads to the military base where they learn that George has joined Ralph on his way to Chicago. The colonel devises a plan to surround the monster in a quarry outside Chicago. As the two of them go in a straight line to the city, Davis tries to explain to the colonel that what they are about to do is futile, so he advises the colonel to evacuate Chicago. However, the colonel does not believe his explanation at all, instead ordering his men to arrest Davis and Kate as they are both fugitives. Fortunately, David is able to incapacitate the soldier, and the two are aided by Harvey in stealing an unguarded military helicopter so they can quickly get to Chicago. On the other hand, the colonel launches the attack in the quarry, but it is in vain because the two monsters go on a rampage, killing all the soldiers there. Seeing this, the colonel orders his men to prepare the artillery and intends to attack the monsters with full force while evacuating everyone in the city. The next morning, Davis and Kate finally arrive at Chicago and find the two monsters rampaging through the city. As the military struggles to hold them even, the situation worsens when Lizzie joins the duo. In the meantime, Davis and Kate are planning to steal the antidotes to turn the animals back to normal. They infiltrate Energene's base of operation at the tower to take several vials of the antidotes, but are caught by Claire and Brett. Claire reveals that the antidote only eliminates the animal's enhanced aggressiveness rather than reversing the other effects. She then takes the gun from Brett and shoots Davis in the stomach before taking Kate with her. After that, Claire attempts to escape with their research using a chopper, but the monsters start to climb the tower. After a while, George reaches the top of the tower and smashes the chopper, making Brett run away in fear. At that moment, David suddenly rushes out and helps Kate. It turns out that he didn't die with the last vial of antidote. Davis deliberately distracts George to give Kate a chance to slip the vial into Claire's handbag. She then hits Claire and pushes her into George's path, causing him to devour her along with the antidote. On the other hand, Brett is on his escape when he runs into Harvey, who offers him to cooperate. Harvey tells him that if he wanted to be free, he has to hand his laptop containing Energene's research. A dim-witted Brett gladly accepts and rushes out of the tower, but is killed by falling debris. As the damaged tower starts to collapse, David and Kate board Claire's chopper to protect themselves. Fortunately, both of them manage to survive the crash, while George rises from the debris and has returned to his normal personality. However, Ralph and Lizzie are still causing chaos in the city, so Davis stays to help George defeat the other monsters, while Kate tries to prevent the military from deploying a nuclear bomb. When George battles against Ralph, Davis tricks the giant wolf into advancing towards Lizzie, who decapitates him using her jaws. George is initially overwhelmed against Lizzie, whose skin is indestructible. She then chases Davis, but George intervenes just in time, allowing Davis to incapacitate her using grenades. Surprisingly, Lizzie survives the explosion and overpowers George after throwing him into a rebar. Seeing George in trouble, Davis desperately distracts Lizzie using a fallen attack helicopter, but it only scrapes her. Davis is nearly killed, but luckily George pierces Lizzie through the eye with the same rebar, completely killing her. With the threat neutralized, the colonel eventually calls a halt to the airstrike. George, apparently weakened by his wound, leans against the wall and bids farewell to Davis, who thanks him for saving his life. Davis certainly looks very sad, but George suddenly moves his hand and it turns out that he was just pretending to be dead. Furthermore, everyone in the city, including Harvey, thanks to Davis and George for their heroic actions. The movie ends with George helping to clear the city of debris and rescuing civilians. If you enjoyed today's movie, don't forget to thumbs up and comment below. Thanks for watching. We will meet again.